All right. Hey, hi. My name's Viper, and for a bit, the plan here this morning was to go back to Claymates, but the soul can't handle it. All of the Western games we've played on here have been fucking play fighters and bullshit, and for some, it's got to be fairer to the West. So I had a different idea of spinning up, which was this sucker we had as a kid in like the OOs, the naughties decade. So this combines many of our stupid obsessions, such as game compilations, the GameCube. Oh, it's early. Oh, gotta jump into this. Gotta wake myself up. Anyway, this interface rocks, by which I mean it's fucking terrible. It kicks ass. Look at this shit. Look, yeah. Can you reorder the games? Do you have them chronologically? Absolutely not. Alphabetical. They're represented by hieroglyphs. They're ordered. Believe what you have. Yeah. It's like this. Left to right, but top to bottom. Alphabetical order. It fucking whips ass. Hey, Lolo. This is a collection for psychos. I played a lot of this. These games are mostly before my time, but I think they all are. This is the newest game on this. It might be Smash TV. They might eventually butt up into When I Was Alive, but I was not playing Smash TV at age 0. That's stupid. It'd be at least 3 to be allowed to play Smash TV. I'm just going to do these. Yeah, God, because they made 3 of these collections. Also, hi, Claire. I had this one. I had a friend with the other 2, so I would like to touch those other 2 at some point, but one step at a time. They all kicked ass. The other 2 have normal interfaces. This has the evil interface. 720. Top in. I remember 720. I remember not liking. This is not one of my favorite games in this collection. But also, God, chickens. Oh, beautiful. Screen is so of an era. I think the last time I thought about this game was when Jeff Gerstmann did the science on the NES version. I'm gonna go into baby difficulty because I'm baby. I've just never been able to figure out how to play this. Oh, okay, never mind. Actually, this game is really good. Check out those synths. You have like no time. You kind of got to go for your first one real fast. Let's try. I'd like to at least show all of the. And those guys all like. Why are they all Skullomania? Is it just me or do they all look like Skullomania? Yeah, when you run out of time, bees try to kill you. Oh, that was buying shoes. That wasn't an event. I mean, great. Listen, I love shoes. I love shoes. Another way you play this is you gotta get money. 48 weight. Yeah, I think probably the reason this is like hard to play is the 48 weight joystick. I'm betting that doesn't really translate super well to no. Because again, when I watched Jeff Gerstmann play the NES version, it looked pretty workable. I feel like skate or die was like a phrase even before it was a game. I think people were just saying that. Oh, really? Okay. Shows what I know. I've never been on a skateboard. Are you fucking kidding me? I would die. I have enough cash. I think I learned about skateboarding was from my older brother. Okay. So it could have been afraid. I guess I'd have to really research skate culture in a way that I don't care to. All right, now this is okay. Hold jump button for. All right, let's see if I can figure out. Slalom's at least like okay, you know. I know what slaloming is. I didn't do a very good job, so I guess I should shut up. I'm trying to spin too far. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I almost got a bronze. You get more score on the blocks. I don't know what that means. Maybe it's just I don't know any skating lingo. Maybe that's the problem I have with this game. I'm doing better now than I've ever did as a kid. I will say that. I don't think I ever successfully managed to go to 2 places. So there is that. In that regard... Okay, that's the slalom again. That's weird. I guess I just wasn't paying attention to the layout. Hold on, we got it here. Head shop, jump park. Let's see if I can get to the jump park. Yes, yeah, I will say I love the digitized voices. I'm a big fan of the... We're about to hear it. I do. That is a little bit of... A little bit of digital voice that will live in my head forever. I like how it's bees. I just like how the way they fuck you up is... bees are going to attack you now. Spin in the air. Let's see if I can do this. I mean, I do have to appreciate that when I was trying to spin too far, they were trying to help me, right? They were like, hey, idiot. Your dumbass spinning too far, right? Alright, well, I at least got bronze there. Yeah, I can feel my affection for this game actually increasing, so that's good. The music is good. The gameplay is at least, I'm getting it now, even if I keep crashing. I haven't been eaten by bees yet. I believe they are because you can see them transforming into stuff, like in the cartoons, they like turn into a needle. Which is very funny. I kind of need a bit more guard. Like, I don't know what. I got new shoes, and I understand that they increase my... some kind of stat, but I don't know what they actually did. It wasn't my jump. I'm probably in big trouble. It's a lot of points I need. That's like double the number of points I got. Say if I was going to do good, I would need to do better than bronze medal. Yeah, this is volume 1. Like I said, I'll start with SEC scissors. That's what bees do. They scissor you. That's not true. Do I have enough points or anything now? Oh. It's a really big jump. Like, I don't know how I'm gonna... Oh, that's right! Jump is a different button! I've been messing up. For some reason, I have not been pressing the right button to jump. Yeah, I know there's like Williams games in here. A lot of cases. I'm actually starting to understand this game, but still can't. I'm still probably screwed as far as... So there's shoe. I'm guessing pads make you get up faster when you bail. That's what I would reasonably do with them. See, needle? I think it went the wrong way. Alright, that's fine. I have 2 credits still? I thought I already had 2 credits.
Tell you what, come back when you got some money.
Maybe I was supposed to go up here. Ramp? Where was I? I need... Jump? No, I've been to the jump. Where the hell am I? Or was that downhill and not jump? I see. I need to. Okay, so I'm there. Okay, downhill. That's where I want to go. I'm gonna get beat again. I get that they have to like keep you moving because this is an arcade game and they want all your money. However, that was what always got me. This is like tough to really. I'm good at that. I can skate straight skate. That's interesting. Some of these are 4, some of these are 5. What's up with that? Oh, that's sick. Game Center USA is quite possibly the greatest
You
name.
got to have a ticket.
I'm way into that. I don't know how I got an extra ticket before. I just noticed that I had it and went. I guess it was probably from continuing. They might take pity on you then. There are still secrets left to be found here in the skate park. How the hell do you play this game? I know there was also like some sort of collection that combined the first two. I think it was just collections of games from all 3 of them. There was like nothing new, so I didn't bother. Okay, so I said I had 2 credits, but I guess that meant total. Ninten? Why is Ninten here? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Okay, 9, 10. All right. It just looks like they're saying Nintendo at me. That's fine. I don't care. I'm simply good to go, I think. I like that game now. I will say, this is it. This was the moment I started liking the game. Let's look at the history. What is the history of stuff? Okay, no actual history. Weirdly enough, they start you on the far right by default, and they want you to go left. I don't know what's up with that. But there's a pretty good number of features in these. That varies based on game. They don't all have a write-up. They don't all have lovely cell sheets to look at. Do you know it is the ultimate aerial experience? I guess you need to like just do all 4 times. I'm a little confused. But the game doesn't really have instructions, which is probably its biggest. Nope, that's not what I wanted to do. Oh hell yeah, there are some videos. The interviews are great because they are in a friggin' mist linking book ass.
Rob Rowe had worked with the 720 team, John Solowitz, Dave Ralston, those guys, to set up a skateboard half pipe ramp in the back here.
Full scale.
One of the better ones I've ever seen.
10 foot of radius, I can build it.
Yeah, you working
10
on it
foot
too?
radius with like 2 to 3 feet of straight vertical at the top drop.
And they did that, and they had some of the best skateboarders in the area at the time.
We had not only the best skateboarders in the area, we had the best boarders in the world.
Yeah.
And we would
they'd be there
video.
playing around, we'd videotape them, and the purpose was, kind of like Walt Disney filmed deers for Bambi. We had to film these skateboarders to understand skateboarding moves, and Will Nova was a fantastic animator, worked on that, and did a great job of capturing all of that. But we had a whole skateboarding ramp set up, and it became kind of like a party area, and it was really, that's right when I first started working here, and it was just incredible. You come to this place, you make video games, in the back there's a skateboarding ramp. I mean, it was beautiful.
What about the bees? Did they motion capture bees?
You can imagine a joystick that revolved on a circular basis that wouldn't return upright. So it just in a circle, which would enable you to do the 720. If you got your speed going right, hit a curve, you could flip in the air and do this, right?
Yeah.
Do the move.
quite a valuable clip. Yeah, okay, I'll do them the alphabet. The way I usually did them as a kid is I couldn't understand, so I'd be like going to Joust next and kind of doing it like that, and then going over here. But I'll stick to the alphabetical order they presented with Blaster. I remember liking this game enough. Blast and thrust. Those are your maneuvers. 1983, you want missions. Whatever. First one. Yeah, this is some cool vector shit. This is basically like Star Fox. Or there was Star Fox. But it doesn't have a fox, so really. It's pretty useless in that regard. Also, like, wonderfully borderline illegible rules. Assuming I get points from... I mean, those archers are glowing, so you know you gotta fly through them, like... I didn't see a brake button there. It feels like I want to be able to brake, but... I can only boost. Oh yeah, I remember this part from Final Fantasy VIII. Oh, I really biffed that one. Crashed into that UFO right away. Catch Spaceman? Sorry, Spaceman. Now the Spaceman will drift through space forever. This is still pretty cool, but it maybe isn't. It's maybe less impressive to me now than in 2003 or 4, I think this came out. I can't remember. They're releasing like one a year for those 3 years. I think that's how the 3 Midway Arcade Treasures discs worked. Oh shit, vampires! No, no one needs eyes. Yeah, this is a bit of flashing. Well, we'll do... Okay, it's probably like you get to the end after so many. I'll take a little look more, but since I don't want to spend too much time on this high strain ass game, I want to see the levels that were available here starting off. So Saucerland, we'll go to Saucerland. Since we've seen those asshole vampires. First oral, that's interesting. You can choose either one. I feel like you must get more points for doing it last, though. That's, like, trickier. So I have so far failed to do either, so maybe I should shut the fuck up. I mean, like, look, it's hard to aim. Okay, no, never mind. Takes them all out. But how much do I get for doing them last? I care, but not enough to spend like a lot of time trying to figure it out, because quite frankly. Oh. This is a tough one to look at visually. It would be fun in an arcade, though. You're there, you're having a good time. You're rescuing spacemen. Like, that's cool, and then you put your money back into a better game. Like 720. Probably wouldn't be released for another few years. I didn't check what year it was, but it definitely looks like a newer game than this. Newer than 1983. Okay, there's more stuff going on though. I got a thrust after runway strip ships. There's lots going on. That's pretty cool. The variety of obstacles and objectives does keep it interesting in a way a lot of games might not have. Oh, all of this stuff is there, right? The red ships are there. I see. Like all of the various elements are getting mixed up. Every single thing they've introduced up to this point is just coming at you. And now I got only 13 million light years away. But my ass ain't getting to paradise. Sorry about that. I meant to hit the mute. Didn't succeed. Succeed. Failed. Right. Too much eye strain. And now that VTuber sneezes account. I don't think that exists anymore. Hope it doesn't. Terrifying. Is any of this interesting? A lot of pictures. They included lots of good stuff. The sit down version. That was a rare version according to this, but that does feel cooler. Let's see. Oh, a conversion kit. It's less fun. Let's see what we got. Conversion kit isn't as fun. What do we got here? I want to see them try to sell me on the game. Yeah, I think that'd be neat. I'm sure it's hard to find one at this point, but it is pretty cool. I'd play it on a stand-up cab too, but obviously the holy grail here would be the sit-down. Yeah, this is what I want. I want them to try and sell me on how cool this game is. People are gonna love it. You got depth perception. Look at this robot. The anti-planet, oh shit. Love how they refer to the player as a he, guaranteed. Funny little spaceman. Ooh, never saw that cool planet. Oh, hold up. Look at this guy. Damn, this rocks. This guy is so cool. He's a cool skeleton guy. Okay, you get more points for killing them when they're close. Sensible enough. Cyborg duck, space cats. It's too bad it's like difficult to actually recognize that those are supposed to be ducks. Okay. Okay, no. Well, maybe not. It doesn't say that you get a bigger bonus or a smaller bonus. It just says you get a bonus and the whole squad gets wiped out. Now this is a cool looking cabinet. This weird fire hydrant ass. Pretty cool. It's pretty cool. What do we got here? Oh, hell yeah. We got trivia. I actually remember this.
The name that we wanted to use was Master Blaster, and we discovered at the time that there was a pinball simulation program called Billy Budge's Raster Blaster available for the Apple computer, so decided to change the name to avoid confusion. We pondered and toiled for a couple of weeks to come up with a better name for the game, and in frustration ended up just simply shortening it to Blaster.
That's how it is sometimes. Oh, I sure don't know how many sit-down cabinets were finished. There are only 1,000. Okay. So, I mean, this would have been really hard to find. Actually, it's kind of an interesting one because understanding was the video game Crash was more about consoles, but this is, I guess, market corrections in the arcade industry. I'm just going to guess one.
3. One is on display at my dad's house in Palo Alto. The other game, well, actually the second game, was converted into a Devastator game, which is a very limited edition prototype. And there have been unconfirmed sightings of the third game. Its actual whereabouts are unknown at this time.
Yeah, out there anywhere. Unless they found it in the, couple... Yeah, 20 years since this came out, since this interview happened. Yeah, that just didn't happen. Let's see. Duramold. Drunk. I want them to be stinky. I think that's funny. No. I think it's they shrunk.
Duramold unfortunately had its tendency to shrink and was only used in 2 games, Blaster and Bubbles. Now normally this exhibited itself in a shrinkage that made the coin door hard to open. But actually in one game it was reported that the shrinkage increased the internal pressure of the cabinet so much that the monitor was ejected across the arcade and impaled a Donkey Kong Jr. machine. Fortunately there were no other injuries.
Good. Imagine seeing that happen. All right, let's see. Blaster. Doo-doo-doo. I think I remember this one too, actually. I like this one. I know it's not right, but it's a very funny thing. It's very funny to put it as the wrong answer. It's this one.
Well, the day after we cashed the check, Atari supernovaed, and Jack Tramiel fired 90% of the workforce in the great video game Crash. Unfortunately, not a single remaining Atari employee knew of the existence of the Blaster project, and Blaster forever vanished into the rubble of the great video game debacle.
Blaster's biggest technical challenges. Numbers, scaling hardware. Must be scaling hardware, right? That's obviously.
Doing a first-person flying game in 1983 without any scaling or rotating computer hardware is quite a challenge. Particularly, it meant that each pixel of each image had to be hand-drawn in each size and in each rotation that it was displayed in the game. This caused thousands of hours of artist time to be necessary to generate all of the artwork that you see in the game.
That's right. They didn't have mode 7. Now let's see. Ooh. Oh, I want it to be this one. I'm sure it's not. Damn. Subwoofer? All right. It was just more stuff.
After initial testing, the ability to buy in and continue your game when it was over by inserting additional money was removed from the game. At the same time, the game was shortened from 30 stages to 20 stages to make it possible to complete it on one coin. At this time, there was a stage called Outer Space, which, among other things, had this gargantuanly large Starship Enterprise that would just fly over your head for about 3 miles, and that whole stage was removed at this time.
It's actually pretty interesting to think, because later on everything would become buy-in. They were sort of ahead of the time there. I wonder what the logic of it. I have absolutely no idea what the processor speed of the blaster chip is. Come on. I can't even guess this.
Even though it may take 2 minutes for your 266 megahertz Pentium 2 to boot up, Blaster was programmed, believe it or not, with a 1 megahertz chip. And man, did it hurt.
Good old 256 megahertz Pentium. All right. Nothing else, but there was a lot of that was a good amount of footage. Time for a real game. Time for a real game. Bubbles. We don't need buttons. We only need a joystick. Well, that's real gaming. That's real gaming. I wonder if it says what year. 1982. This one's a little earlier than Blaster. It looks nicer, though, because it's not some fucking... What if we tried to make scaling happen? Monstrosity. Now, I know this game, you kind of gotta... You gotta pick up everything. And there's a tiny cleaning lady for some reason. She's trying to kill you. But you can also steal her broom. I remember that. Oh, drat. Green. If it's green, you can go inside and warp ahead. How does this game even work? And who's putting razor blades in the sink? You know, once you have a mouth, you're big enough to, like, start eating. Okay, I can just devour that old lady. I think it's like... No, once I have a mouth, I can flip around those. Okay, maybe you can just absorb the old lady, but she's worth more points if she cleans stuff up. But also, if you touch her broom first, that's when you can use her broom. Yeah, there we go. So I think I can use it to kill that ant or whatever the hell it is. Yeah, points. I'm kind of in trouble here. I'm not big enough to get out. A tough one. Problems I don't care about putting my name in, really. I want to get back in. I want to start bubbling. It's tougher than I remember, I think. It is a high score game in the end. It's all about getting that. Can I pick up, like, droplets or something, get bigger? Sometimes it feels like I'm just, like... I got none. There's nothing I can do. So I wonder if I can hit the droplets or whatever to... Or if it's just I need to be faster or get more stuff before other fiendish enemies pick it up. Okay, now I'm doing it better. I also don't know if warping ahead is a good strategy or not. It probably is. The real bubbles heads, the real experts. It did look like I could pick up the droplets. Let's see. Kinda hard when there's an ant after you. And I also don't want to just hang around by the top of the screen. Yeah, alright. The droplets weren't passing me by, so I think I was absorbing them. Alright. I don't think I ever understood that as a kid. It's remarkable what having, like, a brain that works will do for you. In terms of gaming skill. Oh yeah. I'm a big bubble. Oh. Oh, this one sucks. Look at this. How much is... Ah! They're all wet, so you're slipping around, right? Hence, I was undone. I don't seem to be getting bigger from the droplets, though. I'm definitely catching them. I also don't know what triggers the work. If I did, maybe I could use it, right? Anyway, it turns out maybe I don't care that much about bubbles anymore. It's okay. But I'd rather just move on. Oh shit, this one has a whole write-up. What else has it got? Let me just take a check. Not much. 1983. Seemed every possible idea had been used in video game. Except in sync. Fun bubbles. I was thinking of it as a bathroom sink, but it's a kitchen sink according to this. What I was trying to do with bubbles was come up with a non-violent, clean game. No pun intended. Says John Outlerick. The game was intended to be a Pac-Man-inspired takeoff with a free-form playfield instead of walls. Outlerick came up with the initial concept, and Python... and it's not like Angelo. Rated all artwork and wrote the game scenario. How long did that take? You're a bubble. Bubble. Python had previously worked on many other Williams games, including much of the art for Joust. Larry could help with the sounds for Joust and Defender, as well as creating the voice for Williams' first voice synthesized pinball game, Gorgar. God, that's a cool name. Together, they brought the kitchen sink to life. The early 80s were an era populated with off-the-wall video game characters like Hubert, Big Doug, and Mr. Do. Please, his name is Taizo Hori, not Big Doug. Even then, Asta Bubbles stood out from the crowd. Did it? Game had crumbs, greases, sponges, brushes, and the cleaning lady. It was certainly the only game ever to create a character out of something as sinister and bizarre as a razor blade. That's probably true. Piloting your scrubbing bubble, the goal was to scour sink after sink of scurrying scum. Oh, someone had fun writing this. A little-known strategy of the game is available once your bubble becomes large enough to have a face. Sponges and brush can no longer destroy it. Working from the right angle, a player can rack up extra points by shoving the sponges and brushes down the drain. Oh, okay. The only drawback is that every time you throw your weight around in this manner, you lose a little in size, until eventually, you become vulnerable again. The big challenge of programming the game was creating the drift movement of the free-floating player bubble, which was a lot more complex than meets the eye. They wanted to program the bubble to move like it was on ice or water, and not a hard surface track. To do this, Kotlik had what he calls the damping of the velocity profile. The longer you held the joystick down, the faster you would go, and experience a slight decrease in velocity once you attempted to coast. It was an attempt to make an analog control out of an 8-way digital joystick. The game had different movement than any other immediate response game of its kind. Bubbles also had an innovative cabinet design. The wood cabinet graphics, created by Angelo, were some of the best of all Williams classic games. Angelo also came up with the concept for a unique all-plastic cabinet for Bubbles. Mechanical engineer Gary Burge developed it by using a special rotational molding process. The shape was cylindrical with a domed top. The Bubbles cabinets were in blue plastic. Black plastic ones were created for Blaster and a handful of Sinistar test machines. That's the Duramold that shrunk and ejected and murdered a Donkey Kong Jr. machine. Plastic cabinets were almost indestructible. When crushed, they would spring back to shape like an accordion. When blemished, they could easily be fixed by heating and smoothing the plastic. We'd made kits for those things, we could have easily sold a couple 100,000, says Tom Cahill of Williams' service department, ignoring the murderous shooting the monitor out problem. Bubbles created a play environment like no other game of its time. The humorous animated action was a nice compliment to Williams' cadre of famous sci-fi pulse racers. That makes Bubbles sound really cool, and then it's fun. It's fine. It's not bad. It's not that I have anything against it. Anyway, here's something that's like really well known. Brass has got Defender. Now, this was one of the ones I played, like, a lot of these old games you get, like, Flash versions, or they'd be in other places. So obviously, that was a game I'd already played by the time I got this collection. Because it's Defender. Now, granted, my understanding, I've never touched a real-ass Defender cabinet. Is that there's a button to thrust and a button to reverse your direction, which I think does... Yeah, you can play it like that. Because the Z button thrusts here. Yeah, and Y button reverses. But generally speaking, these days, you're likely just pressing the direction you want to go. It's a very different experience, though, than something that was really intended to be like, here you are flying a cool spaceship scenario. A shot that's gonna kill me, or is it? I think it was. I believe it was. It was really slow. Ooh, I think so. I know Choplifter is of a similar type. A Choplifter, inspiration for Karateka. Actor display is really cool, though. Like, when you explode, that's sick as hell, in my opinion. Ah, okay. Oof. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I'm gonna play a bit more, though. That wasn't much. This is a cool game, like, I appreciate. This just looks cool. There's a reason why it is a classic. But when you think about it, it's actually an escort quest, so it sucks. I feel like what I'm doing wrong is I should be watching for guys getting kidnapped and try to save them. I think I am making that mistake. At least they do get marked in your map like that. No, this isn't what I thought it was. You don't want those mutants getting made. They're real tough. That's right. I forgot the hyperspace random warp. Sort of the original shmup bomb. It was just teleport you to a random place. Asteroids had that too, I think. Or maybe it's just some Asteroids-inspired games that had it. I can't remember. Oops. I do real bad once I'm in the lose state, which, fair enough. Well, I'll say this. I want to put another credit in. It has that quality. You just want to do a little better. Even though I haven't been looking at my score at all. The thing, when I had this collection, I was definitely more into playing games for score, and now that's not that interesting to us. Nothing wrong with it, just a change in lifestyle. Gotta get... Oh. Well, better dead than mutant. This is pretty wild. Like, first wave, fine. And then it gets bad. That's when the tough stuff starts. But I'm sure, like, you actually know how to play Defender. they must be able to just go forever. Though I imagine at some point the difficulty increase is going to kind of stop a little bit. Alright, assholes. There's only one human left, so I'm just going to... Oh, that didn't work at all. There we go. New record, at least in terms of number of waves. I'm not sure about score. We'll find out. Oh, I better find that human. There we are. Here, hold on to him. We'll cradle you in my arms. Oh, I accidentally didn't, sorry. Sorry. Alright, gotta defend. I'm a defender. As a defender, I am obligated to defend. That was my best run, so I'll put initials. There we go. Yeah, that was my best run of the day, but still shy of an all-time greatest slot. Back then, you could just come in and you played for a few minutes, and that was your credit. And they weren't trying to get you to buy in. So they made less money. I assume it must have been more profitable to put buy-in. Otherwise, why would they have done it? How much do we got in this one? Delicious. It's interesting that there's a lot of blaster pictures. Only a few defender, but there's a lot of interview. So we'll go through this. How long is this one? Yeah, whatever. The inside story on Defender. The creation of Defender was one of the single greatest feats in the history of coin-operated amusement. When Defender was released in late 1980, I gotta think about that. That's real early. It was so different and exciting, it became an instant hit. 6 months after its release, Defender took in more quarters per week than any other game in the United States. Williams went from the number 2 pinball manufacturer to a major new force in video amusements. A year after it was released, Defender machines were still rolling off the production line to satisfy the demand. Eventually, Defender went on to ship more than 60,000 units, and reportedly spawned almost as many bootlegs at the time when pirating was still rampant in the industry. Thank God there's no more pirating. Too bad 60,000 is nothing now. Defender remains one of the top 10 arcade games of all time. I think that's not fair because it was an arcade game, so units has to be. At the time Defender was released, Stan Jarocki, director of marketing at Williams' arch-rival Midway, was quoted as saying, "The first effort, and particularly for a game designed in-house, Defender is amazing." How amazing? Williams purchased Midway a few years later. Defender was a first in a long line of Williams games that were built on a solid bedrock of exciting gameplay. The game burst on the scene, seemingly out of nowhere. In fact, it was the culmination of 8 months of hard work. I mean, actually, yeah, it is a lot for the time, but it's also 8 months. Imagine. But probably only by a couple people. What most people don't know is that the Defender project teetered back and forth on the brink of oblivion, right until the day it was first tested in the arcade. The innovative game finally came together through the sheer willpower of its young, talented design team led by Eugene Jarvis. Jarvis, a computer science graduate of UC Berkeley, entered the amusement trade working for Nolan Bushnell, the godfather of the American video game industry, and then owner of Atari, and then I think Chuck E. Cheese happened. In the late 70s, Jarvis went to work for Williams as a pinball programmer, and the company was making the transition from mechanical to electronically operated pinball machines. By 1980, a couple 100,000 Space Invaders machines made it quite clear that the future of coin-operated amusement was in video games. Williams had to make their move, and the project fell into Jarvis's lap. I didn't know jack about video games, said Jarvis. It was a time to learn fast. The video hysteria was coming, and everyone in the industry could smell it. Initially, Jarvis was mostly alone on the project. The company decided to make the game in color, a big step at the time. Williams' hardware system could support an amazing 16 colors. Jarvis went to town and spent 3 to 4 months coming up with color variations on Space Invaders and Asteroids, which he now admits were just stupid. At that point, all he had was a good title, Defender. Jarvis tried to create the game from the title backwards, fearing that the game's objective should be to defend fellow humans, something that would justify the wanton destruction he hoped to later program into the game. He created a ship, space controls, and spent a month programming little human astronauts that would walk around the lunar surface. By this time, the Amusement Machine Operators of America, AMOA, show at which the game was supposed to debut was fast approaching, and management was not amused. We'll get into that in the interviews. Redoubling his efforts, Jarvis came up with the landers and bombers, but the game still did not elicit that sweaty palms feeling, Jarvis' personal barometer for a successful video game. Good video games should keep a player in panic for his life every millisecond. At this stage, according to Jarvis, the game felt like flying around in an aquarium. Then inspiration hit. While watching an old Star Trek episode, Jarvis came up with the idea of mutants. Now humans and landers... I wonder which episode. Now humans and landers confused into a vicious enemy the player could really hate. Formers and baiters were added, and Defender had finally started to reach critical mass in the panic department. Ironically, so had Williams. A week before Defender's scheduled trade show debut, there was still not a finished game. It was crunch time. Yay! Sam Dicker, who was responsible for many of the sounds and explosions on the game, Larry DeMar, and almost every other programmer at Williams came together to troubleshoot and problem-solve on Defender. Larry DeMar had never seen anything like it. Of course, the crew was handicapped by the technology of the day. The difference between the game development machines of today and those used in Defender is something like the difference between trying to start a fire by rubbing 2 sticks together and having a gas-powered torch blow up. Gas-powered blowtorch at your disposal. The night before the show, brand new wood cabinets emblazoned with yellow and red graphics were delivered to the show floor and placed prominently at the Williams booth. They contained Williams' breakthrough electronic hardware system, the most complex controls ever seen on a video game. God, even guess it was. There's like 3 buttons there, and bold backlit marquee signs with the Defender logo. They were just missing one small thing: the ROM chip that actually contained the game. Across town at Williams, the game still didn't have an attract mode. Larry DeMar hacked one together in 5 hours. Today, it's not uncommon for a crew to spend 3 months doing the same thing. How much arcade development is actually going on now? Yeah. Again, now it's like another 20 years later. It's all this stuff changes again. At dawn, the ROMs were burned with hardly an hour to spare. The games were up and running and ready to display Williams' biggest gamble ever. They had completed the game in time. Unfortunately, no one would play it. Exhausted, tired, and high from lack of sleep, but Jarvis was still undaunted. He was actually sort of proud that people found it confusing. The buzz at the end of the show is that Pac-Man and Defender were going to bomb, and that a game called Rally X was the next big thing. Fuck yeah, Rally X. So true, so true. The next week was spent adding more waves to the game, which initially only went to Wave 5. Nobody in the company had ever got past Wave 3. I got 3 pretty fast. Maybe I'm better in the company. Jarvis, who sentimentally refers this time as the 1 week he was the world's greatest Defender player, had scored 60,000 points. The general feeling was that this score was impossible and might never be achieved again. Outside chance that it could, they decided to add more levels. So when Defender was brought out for an arcade test, it had repeating waves that continued until the game turned over at 1 million points. Surely there was no danger of anyone playing this thing for more than 3 or 4 minutes. The arcade test was the first hint anyone had that Defender wasn't the 300-pound paperweight everybody thought it was. There were few things more humbling than playing Defender for the first time. The average game time that first week was 33 seconds. Players not realizing they could thrust or reverse would die absolutely pathetic deaths. Pissed players off, in a good way. As the Dark Souls of its time, they came back for more and more, determined to beat this crazy new game. Defender fever took hold. Jarvis was profiled in the June 1982 issue of Playboy in a piece called What Sort of Man Invents Defender? Joystick magazine reported with a straight face that it's even been rumored that the Air Force trains its recruits on Defender machine. The fever inspired other versions of Defender. In June 1982, Joe Kamankow, Barry Ausler, and Carrie Colker created a moderately successful Defender pinball machine. There was also a cocktail version of Defender. Presently, Atari is developing an update to the game called Defender 2000 for the Jaguar. This is written then. The Jaguar was earlier than that. Anyway, Defender 2000. In a video game cover story for the January 18th, 1982 issue of Time magazine, a now Prospect, Illinois high school student named Steve Rasek was profiled as the Defender champion of the world, played 16 straight hours on a single quarter, racking up 16 million points. All his Rasek's feat was amazing. His status as champion is a bit misleading. Around the same time, there were expert players who were literally playing the game for days. Jarvis knew of one guy who quit his job at Boeing to play Defender full-time. Scoring bug that occurs at 990,000 points. Allow players to rack up enough ships to take a break and go to the bathroom. Important for long games. But God, that rules. Once you reach 990,000, everything you shoot earns you a free ship. You try to shoot as many low-scoring targets as possible. You can turn the game over with dozens of free ships. The only catch is that you don't earn another ship until you accumulate enough points to pay for the ships earned between that. It's an advance, not a gift. For the general public, Defender may not conjure up as much name recognition as Space Invaders or Pac-Man, but for many arcade addicts, it was the only game that mattered. Its creation will always be remembered as an amazing feat. Defender catapulted Williams into an industry leadership position in video games, and the company has remained there ever since. Well, you know.
The most amazing project was the Defender project, because we were the #2 pinball company at the time, and we were we're going to get in the video game business. Yeah, right, Williams. And we got a bunch of people. They were put in a separate facility over on Belden Avenue, and this group, you know, everybody had one goal, and that was in a pretty short time frame to do whatever it took to make a really hot video game. And the way things were accomplished by that group and the atmosphere among this group was just amazing. I've never seen it equaled. And you know, now I've got a management role, and I would love to take and bottle whatever the ingredients were to try and create a situation like that again. And it's the best situation I've ever seen or been in.
Management came down. This was about 3 months before the show, before we had to finish this game, and management came down and goes, "Man, this game is a pile of I mean, this game is so stupid. I mean, what are these people on here? I mean, where are you going?" You know, it was like, you know, they were saying, "Okay, you got to get rid of these stupid astronauts out of there, you know, and get some game going here, you know, because you are really blowing it." It's pretty crazy, because the night this was insane actually. At the time, for our development system, we used this thing called a Motorola Exerciser, which was this huge, probably the most bloated, overpriced computer ever created. It was a dual floppy disk system. They used 8-inch floppy disks, which were like, you know, enormous, held like, you know, 10 bytes on them. And you had this $20,000 box that, I mean, would only work for like 3 or 4 days at a time before something failed. You know, it was horrendous. So it got to the point late in the project where it was taking like half an hour to just assemble the program, and so it was, and the odds of actually getting an assembly that actually made it were so low that the last week of the project, we essentially just object code patches. We left the computer on. The program was in memory. Thank goodness there never was a power failure, and we just made patches in the code and just kind of stuffed them in there for the different bugs.
Well, yeah.
And then it was like 4 a.m. and it was like, okay, we got to burn the ROMs for the show. And we like burned them. We like took everything was stuck in this computer memory, so we had to like pull out the bytes essentially, and then burn them into EEPROMs. And we did it, and like it was at 6 a.m. Plugged them in, it didn't work. I was like, oh, you know, it's like, what happened? You know, did we bend a pin? Did we, you know, of these, you know, 12 ROMs, you know, what was screwed up? And we burned them again or something, and they were like all blank or something. I don't know what it was, but finally we burned them again, and we got the damn thing working. And we like took these chips to the show. The cabinets were sitting on the show floor, like awaiting this program. You know, so we got to the show at like 7 a.m. and, you know, plugged in the chips, and the thing came on, and it was just like, we just go, oh my God, it worked. You know, we were just, you know, couldn't believe it. It was like, we were just so high from like not sleeping, and, you know, it was just this ultimate high to like, just, this thing actually worked.
The ever healthy video game industry.
The show was the the Amusement and Music Operators Association, the AMOA, which is the big coin-op, quarter-eating game show, and in the United States. And mostly attended by game room operators and arcade chain executives and various other industry hacks. And the thing is, the tragic thing is, none of these people actually play video games, you know. And we had Defender out there. Nobody would play it. I mean, they were afraid. They were so afraid of this game that I had to like spend my time trying to lure people into our booth to like play the game, and they'd want to watch me play the game, or, you know, sometimes we'd have a couple of kids in there playing the game, but mostly the game was empty because everybody was so afraid of the game. I guess it was all the buttons. You know, we just had so many buttons on there that, you know, people just go, man, I just can't deal with this.
Yeah, hilarious. There's like 4 buttons. How many buttons is this game? Thrust, turn, shoot, bomb. Okay, that's like 5.
So it's kind of like, well, we go, oh, okay, it's kind of cool, you know.
What's moving?
Maybe we'll sell 1,000 games or something. You know, maybe some suckers will buy them. But you know, at the time, it seemed like it was a bomb. But I don't know, we were just so high from finishing the thing that it wasn't disappointing at all. In fact, I don't know, we kind of maybe were proud that it intimidated everyone. You know, it's like we're kind of proud that the game like freaked people out. You know? So it was kind of, you know, people kind of, I thought it was kind of a bomb. You know, the buzz on the show was like Pac-Man and Defender were like bombs. Pac-Man because it just played forever and it wasn't exciting, and Defender was like way too complicated to play. And people were thinking this game Rally X, which was a little car racing game, was like the big game of the show.
So they were putting Namco games against each other like that. Fucked up.
We stuck it out in an arcade, and first night I didn't even show up. You know, I mean, you stick this thing out. You've been working on this thing for months. You almost got fired. You know, I mean, there was a point where I cleaned out my desk. You know, in like the dark days when I was working on the astronauts, I'd actually cleaned out my desk and had put all my stuff in boxes. I mean, I was that close to like just quitting. And so I just didn't want to. You know, I didn't want to find out what people really wanted. Like, so I didn't show up first night. And second night, I go out to the arcade. And the place was just, there was like people 10 deep watching Defender. There was people sitting on chairs and couches and like camped out around this game. And at that point I figured, wow, maybe this is kind of cool.
Hell yeah. Yeah, Eugene Jarvis, crazy motherfucker. Of course, the one thing about this all being alphabetical order is that now Defender 2 is just right there next to Defender. I wonder how much history? I don't know. God. Okay, there's a whole nother whole write-up. Oh my god. So much. So much Defender. Let's defend. Oh yeah, this one has Inviso. Wonder if that was really Fred Williams' score. So, you know, they made a sequel. I think Stargate is its other name, I believe. It's a bit more complicated. Now, what's Inviso? Well, I can't see myself either. That's not helpful. Do they still have hyperspace? Yeah. That's interesting, this adding any. What the? Did I teleport onto a shot? Or was it something else? Okay. Destroyed all landers. So I gotta go through here, I guess, to get to new level? Or what is it? Oh no. I destroy all landers for some more other stuff, I think. Fair enough, fair enough. Looks like I got an energy bar for that. For my invisibility machine. I think what you actually want to do is like get a bunch of guys together and hold them up and take them to the gate. There's some tricks that I remember hearing about, but I've never cared enough about Defender to really try. I did talk about getting to higher waves, though, so... It's not like everyone cared about score, per se. Number of waves is kind of more fun to think about for me. But at the same time, advanced scoring techniques are interesting, too. There we go. There we are. It actually feels, at this point, a little like it's more complicated than the original, but in terms of getting places... Oh, well. Spoke too soon. I don't know, I care that much now. That's the thing, it still kind of looks similar. Defender heads, I'm sure, can give you all the real shit. Video game that doesn't kick your ass the first time you play it isn't doing its job. Kinda. I mean, kinda, yeah. Yeah. It's not really true, but it's kind of true. Depends on everything. How's that for a programming philosophy? People are basically kind of masochistic, says Eugene Jarvis. They want to have their butt totally kicked so they can get revenge. Instigating a cycle of vengeance keeps quarters flowing in the arcade, and Defender had opened a floodgate of quarters. Logically, the game begged for a sequel. A brilliant student film, Defender was a rushed and exploratory first effort that sparkled with ingenuity and excitement. Sequel to Defender meant the opportunity to hit the big time, using more resources and the lessons they learn on Defender to deliver a superior game. The market salivated for it, and Williams poised itself to deliver another blockbuster. But first, they would have to strike an agreement with the game's creators. In February 1981, Eugene Jarvis and Larry DeMar had formed their own development group called VidKids. It's a terrible name, but it's their business, not mine. Other companies were hot to get a hold of the two designers who had worked the Defender miracle. However, Jarvis and DeMar were not interested in working with anyone else, and almost immediately entered into an exclusive agreement to independently develop games for Williams. You really kind of undercut your own drama you were setting up there, huh? You're like, oh, it's actually, there wasn't any. The first project was a sequel to Defender. The basic challenge of programming a sequel to Defender was to keep the basic principles of the game while making it difficult enough to challenge experienced Defender players. The original version of Defender, the one that never made it to the arcades, only went to Wave 5. The final version kept repeating waves after it turned over at 1 million points. Everyone was sure that each wave beyond 5 was complete overkill. They would never make that mistake again. The Stargate, a vortex where a ship carrying 4 men could warp ahead 4 levels, provided the new challenge. 4 men. The game included a host of new enemies and a new color palette. To accommodate new features, expanded program memory was created by making the screen RAM write-only and the program ROM read-only, thereby creating an overlap that doubled the memory to 128K. Huh, that's actually interesting. Interesting. Very technical, but interesting. The game shipped in late 1981 and sold approximately 26,000 units, about twice the number of units necessary to be considered a hit today. Alright, fair enough, if that's a lot. Obviously, arcade games are going to sell less than like a home game. Obviously, I have no idea what a hit is today, now, after this was written. Still less than half of what Defender sold. Travis was disappointed. He felt Defender 2 was superior in every respect to Defender. Perhaps it was just too good. They may have beat people into submission more often than enraged them to come back for more. Defender 2 was originally called Stargate. The name was changed right after the game had stopped being manufactured, because Williams wanted to make sure they could own the trademark on the title. No games with Defender 2 marquees were ever shipped to arcades, but from then on that's what the sequel Defender has been known as. The home version of the game was released for Atari 2600 and was to have had the original title. Williams programmers ended up having to create the Defender 2 title screen for it themselves when the project got caught up in a change of regimes at Atari. Few people knew that the programmers had hidden an Easter egg in the game, one that can still be found in this Digital Eclipse home version. Like in Robotron, a secret control combination causes the programmers' names to appear. For Defender 2, that formula consists of 3 sequences of buttons that almost be completed within a quarter of a second of each other without player dying on the screen. Boy, I'm player 1. I don't even know if I had player 2 start, so I'm probably just not going to be able to do these. Defender 2 was the game Digital Eclipse used to test its emulation technology. They perfected a method that allowed the actual arcade code to run on a desktop computer. Out of the blue, they approached Williams and set up a meeting. Larry DeMara was there, and he couldn't believe, like Digital Eclipse tooting their own horn for this one. There's one big problem with trying to make reprogrammed imitation of classic video games. Some of the best features were bugs. Other companies have found this out the hard way with reprogrammed classics that fall well short of the originals. Many great sound effects from classic games were complete program bugs that were too cool to be eliminated. Defender, like Joust, has a bug that turned into an integral part of the game's strategy. A breakdown in the flight algorithm for the mutants causes them to run away from you instead of towards you when they reach a certain line in the scrolling landscape. Great players use this as a key advantage in the game, so not me. Reprogrammed versions of the game would have fixed that bug. Classic video. Yeah, their logo. I already had the game running when I started, so I guess the logo wasn't there, but theirs is on it. Classic video game enthusiasts want nothing short of the real deal. The games they know and love, correct, right down to the last pixel. Digital Eclipse and Williams have delivered. They're just advertising themselves. Most of the original programmers have been surprised that anyone cares. To them, the classic Cade revival has come out of nowhere. Game players who grew up in arcades spent their allowance, paper route money, and every quarter they could beg, borrow, and steal. These new home versions are an opportunity to get their asses kicked all over again. Oh, that's so funny. Oh, they have an Atari 2600 version of the cover there. Guy has been abducted. This is good ass art. I had some good ass art back then. Video game covers no longer look cool. Oh, these are some haunted house concept sketches. They're just like, whatever. Listen, we have this stuff. Check out this Bride of Frankenstein.
That was VidKids. That was, we started in February of '81, and then Stargate was our first game.
And that, what else did you guys do besides Stargate?
We did Stargate, Robotron, and then a game called Blaster, which is falls into that low production category. And we also actually developed an Atari 800 version of that game, which preceded the coin-op, and was never brought to market. Well, Eugene and I did. We shared the load. It was we had a lot to do in a pretty short period. In the sense of doing a sequel, we were in a world where there were a couple of sequel games at the time. They had done Asteroids Deluxe behind Asteroids, and they took everything that was fun out of the game. And they had done Deluxe Space Invaders behind Space Invaders, which was essentially the same game. And we wanted something that would give some good new appeal to the game, but that wouldn't be playable by the good players to the extent where they were playing 10, 15, 20 minutes on Defender. If they walk up to Stargate and are playing 20 minutes a game, this game's not going to have any ability to make money. So we worked really hard to come up with a mechanism to make the game good for the better player without having him stay there for long periods of time.
A lot of how sequels work back in the day. You got their Ms. Pac-Man. Just Pac-Man, but for sucked up sickos of Pac-Man.
Contrary to what a lot of people would believe, a game that you walk up to and you play 20 minutes immediately, you're not gonna be very interested in. You need the new conquest. You need to go up there and have it going. You're dog food, and for you to want to come back and try and learn and beat it. So in Stargate, we put the warp feature in, which was a matter of rescuing and holding on to 4 humanoids and flying through the Stargate, which is a pretty high-level accomplishment. But if you're a good Defender player, it's you can do it in your sleep. And what that did was that gave you a huge bonus, took you ahead 2 or 3 waves in the game, and giving you the bonus gave you a couple extra ships. So it was a way to get the good players to jump into where the action was frenzied and make them think that they were having a one-up on the game, and it worked pretty well. When I first got the Digital Eclipse program, my mind was blown. My first encounter was actually Paul Dassault called me over to the front of our building, and there's 2 guys there with a Macintosh, and Paul goes, "I want to show you something." And he plays with his Macintosh and types something. All of a sudden, the carpet sweeps of the memory test, which is pretty much a signature of the old Williams games, is appearing on the Mac, and I'm like, oh my God, you guys wrote a simulator.
It's learning about emulation for the first time.
In 1982, that in 1995 I'd be sitting on my computer playing on a machine that's simulating the program, my exact work, I mean, I would have thought, I would have wondered what the guy was smoking. The games themselves, when they were done, were such a struggle against what could technically be done with affordable horsepower. The fact that this could happen is just represents amazing growth in the speed and size of these computers.
Right. So a lot of this comes from the mid '90s, then, because he said 1995. So games from the '80s. Some interviews from the '90s. This collection is from the '90s, and even that now is a few decades ago. Yeah, you can tell. I mean, less appreciated than the original, but if it sold like a lot, if it sold enough to be a hit, I guess it wasn't completely. No, but it is still, I think if you're not a super Defender expert, it feels very similar to me. I believe in all of their effort to make it harder and whatever, but it doesn't feel as different if you're not coming from had to be there, or I'd have to get really into Defender, which I don't see happening at the current time. That doesn't mean it couldn't happen. Right, now we're really gonna shift gears for this one, for Gauntlet. How much history is for this? Not that much. It's fine, it's Gauntlet. We all know Gauntlet. Of course, Gauntlet I could just play for an infinite amount of time. But I won't. I'll play until we get a little bored of it. Fire magic, add health by putting in another quarter. Because, I mean, that's the thing. This is a buy-in game. This is just... Hey, how many quarters you carrying in with you here into the arcade? You want to spend them all? Want to spend them all here? That'd be cool. You want to do that? Oh.
Welcome.
I get that the actual machine would have been like, you'd have 4 spaces, and then each one would be a class. I don't know how I choose different ones here, but I assume I can. Warrior is fine, though.
Oh.
Of course, the Gauntlet game that I really played was like the Legends Dark Legacy kind of kind of era. That game is very cool.
Food warrior is about to die.
Yeah. Insert some health. So lazy, I prefer just to suck up all that health. It's probably not a good way to play, but they do occasionally make a new gun. Though not for a long time, but I guess there was like one on the 360.
That was a heroic effort.
I love how sarcastic he sounds there. In Legends, when he says that he does not sound sarcastic, I don't know now if it was supposed to be sarcastic. As annoying as that is, I do so. I like that they're out here, kind of. Telling you exactly how much health everything is worth. There's a thing you can, to a limited extent, tack through these walls in the corners. So I can at least make some progress that way. Get rid of some of these generators. Lobbers. Lobbers. Yeah, there's lots of Gauntlet Inspired games. It's a good, like, that looks pretty cool. Oh shit. Oh shit. It's death.
Save potions for later use.
I'll show you later use. Right. This is the whole... Or it's like, what was it called? Gauntlet 7 Sorrows. I don't know anything about it. I just remember that was the name. Not a bad name, but I don't think the game is very well liked. It's a good formula, though. You gotta do, like, the specifics good, but fun to get your friends and, go to little fun little dungeons. The teleporters are real weird, because kind of, like, moves you to the closest visible teleporter, so you had to futz with the... Oh, look at that. Okay, I think I gotta try and, There we go. Just real weird. I assume they were, like, building these levels in an editor and wanted to make it so it'd work. Now, granted, Gauntlet is also much better with more people. Single-person Gauntlet, a little bit less fun. Yeah, that Arrowhead game.
Remember, don't shoot food.
I wasn't paying proper attention. I didn't realize that was food. I shot my food.
Don't shoot the potion.
I'm doing everything wrong here. Jeez, there's like 100 deaths. I don't think teleporting as far as I could was actually the best way to play this game. Crazy, I know, but... Like, okay, here we go. Which side you enter that on is going to affect which one. Closer, it's a whole situation. I think if I go over here, no. I hate this shit. was that not close? Maybe I can go down here. How is that the closest visible teleporter? Is it just that I can't get it because of all the code? But if so, am I just doomed? Like, what's going on here? Okay, I got down there. No. This is what makes this kind of annoying to me, because it is entirely unclear to me what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, how did that work? How did that happen? Yeah. This is where I get you, because now I'm just like, I'm good. I'm having fun right now. Cool game. In theory. But I can't say I'm all that into it like that. The teleporters are the problem. Take a look at the cell sheet. I wish there was a little bit more information on this one. I think it's a cool game. Yeah. Right. I think if I had other people here, we'd be having a good time. But that was it. Not only could they get you to put all your coins in it to buy health, but they could get it from 4 people at once. Or maybe only 2. That's interesting. It's in 2 players, so I don't know. Oh, they have names? That's wild. Not that it matters much. Okay, no, you do choose your character, so apparently that's fine. Maybe there was a button I could have pressed there to make that work. I don't really care that much. Doesn't matter which one I pick. Oh, look at this sick art. Look at that funny little guy. Depends on the player's health. So the operator gets to choose how much health. So the operator can be a real dick about it if they want. Okay, there's a 2-player and a 4-player cabinet, which I assume is just a matter of how much space it takes up. Yes. Basically pretty similar. Oh, no, hold on. I went the wrong way. I hit the wrong button. Let me just back up here and... Actually, since I'm here... Can I fire... Button to shoot? No. Just trying to see if there was any easy way to pick a different character, but... First, let me just look at the trivia, and then I'll look at some of the options. Okay. There's some trivia here. How many? 4. Oh, there's a good few. Let's see. Hardware innovations. 5 patents. It doesn't say what the patents are, so that's not as fun of a trivia as it could be. Finished a video disc version of Roadrunner. Does that have anything to do with, like, cartoon Roadrunner? Or, again, it would be nice to get a little more context for some of these. San Jose, made a lot of money, fine. Zybots was originally done with Gauntlet characters. Okay, yeah, all right. So the version being emulated here then is the 4-player version, but if it was the 2-player version, I could choose my character, so it's weird that they didn't. How are you going to get 4 strangers to play together? I mean, sure, but they didn't even consider the possibility that people would have friends. I guess they are in marketing, they don't know what friends are. Ah, 1984. Atari split. Sundered. Atari gay. I don't know much about that. That'd be interesting to take a look at. Man, that wasn't super interesting, but I'm gonna look at the options for this. Okay, so if I choose maximum players 2, then go in, can I pick a different character without having to use a different slot on the GameCube, which is, I assume, what the GameCube had 4 character slots. Look at that, look at that.
Welcome. Treasure 100.
Of course, now I can only play with 2 players if that's what you're in for.
Save keys to open doors.
Ghosts must be shot. Advice for gamers. Commands for gamers. I guess it's both.
For later use.
What is a command but an advice that is pretty aggro about it? Whatever. The problem with the shooting ghosts is it takes forever and it's boring. It's probably why, Gauntlet Legends and stuff don't have shit like that. I do love his little voice clips. Some food can be destroyed, also advice for life.
Life force is running out.
Example, if you put, when you're packing your groceries, if you don't put bread on top, it'll get squished. That's what they're talking about here. Alright, I know that. That's fun. Gauntlet is fun, but not like this, really. Joust. There must be a lot of Joust material, too, right? Like, it's Joust. Bucko, it's Joust. Joust. It's Joust. All you need is a flat button. It's much like Balloon Fight, but it's Joust. I'm sure I must have played this on, shockwave versions of the game online before I ever actually played this emulated version. I don't think I've ever seen an actual cabinet or anything. God, I love that ostrich walk. That sound is great. Animation is great. It's a good ostrich. This is gaming. This is what gaming is all about. Ostriches. Oh, hold on. I want to catch that egg. There we go. It's a good flapping sound, too. I don't think I've ever appreciated really how nice they... They're being very minimal. sound, I think, is very good in this game. Oh, got jousted. Now I'm in a bit of a pickle. Okay, hold up. Pick it up. Trying to get up high. Ah, I was too greedy. Alright, all I gotta do is be less greedy. Shouldn't be too much, right? Yeah. Once I'm up above everything else, then it's much easier to just do what needs to be done. Ah, see? My greed is very strong. Oh, look at that guy. Trying to get his guy back. No, he's getting his guy back. Didn't even really have to pay attention to the pterodactyl, which I would have liked to have done. Hitting guys, I'm not getting the eggs. I'm not really making progress. Oh! I didn't even pay attention to the pterodactyl. You can kill it. I think they go into that, some of the trivia stuff. I bet the gallery has some sick art. This gauntlet, because Joust being a game about flying ostriches around. A weird, like, fantasy universe that is not particularly explored via the game or anything. It's just... I mean, it says die game is over, so that's how you know this is a serious... Joust Williams. That's my name. See if I can do a little better than that. That was kind of a pathetic run. Now I have to do better. This is my chance to show my jousting stuff. Wonder what the point breakdown is, because I assume it's the faster you get the egg. 750. I don't really understand what I'm looking at. But I did earn survival points, and that's what really matters here. Oh, I got sniped. They really keep you back down on the bottom. They're not nice to you, that's for sure. Now I might need some boldness, really. Yeah. Get up here. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Get over here. I almost made the same mistake again. Trying to chase the eggs too hard and get caught. You gotta watch out for doing that. Not getting good bonus scores, though, from catching the eggs. I'm not catching the eggs. Alright, good there. Got most of the eggs. I just gotta take out this one last asshole. Alright. Simple. I'm doing much better this time. This I can be satisfied with. Can't be satisfied with that, though. Oh, they let me spawn in a different place, huh? Ah. Failure cascade is real. Oh no, hold on, that wasn't me. I'm still sitting pretty. Ah. Well, that guy's being mean to me. Got it. Oh, well, Everything is falling away. I wonder how long. Surely they don't get rid of every platform. I don't know what my best progress was back then, because why would I remember that? But I didn't remember that many going away. Ooh, I could have done that. I could have juked. Could have made it work for me, but I didn't. Ah. That was fun. I would like to name this one. Feel good enough about that one. Oh, this entry screen has memory of where you were. Not all the way at the top of the list. But I am a daily buzzard, so what are you gonna do? Video games, even in the early 80s, took many months, large amounts of money, and multiple programmers to complete. Companies frequently gambled their whole existence on the success or failure of a single project. Such stakes in other industries might result in conservative product strategies, but being conservative with new video games was like signing a death warrant. But for those days again. Kids then and now want a new surprise every time they enter the arcade, and if you don't give it to them, some other company will. This was the atmosphere in 1982 when Williams decided to gamble on a fighting game with no fire button called Joust. Playing a fighting game is very funny too. All at a calculated risk, Williams must have had some blind faith in John Newcomer. Seriously? You can't be named that. You can't. It's illegal. Young ex-toy designer who conceptualized Joust. They knew what they were getting with John. After all, he submitted his resume stuffed down the throat of a rubber chicken. Again, that is the most getting hired in the 80s thing I've ever heard. There were lots of skeptics at Williams once Joust began. As far as Joust's gameplay conventions went, Newcomer, lead programmer Bill, fuck me. Hudson writer. That's not bad. That's not bad. Just gotta look at it. And the rest of the crew were going for a wildly different approach, which was starting to become a habit at Williams. The biggest concern was the absence of firing. Few at Williams expected a game with no shooting to do well. Joust consisted of flying combat with no projectiles and a funny control called a flap button. It was like anything ever seen on computer game. Ever seen on computer game. Newcomer and his team turned Joust into a high-concept strategy game that stretched the limits of the machine's memory. All right, let's relax here. It's not. I mean, maybe it stretched the limits of the machine's memory, but again, strategy game. Not only with gameplay, but with artwork too. Joust utilized essentially the same color raster scan monitor and multi-board electronic system that Williams had pioneered with Defender. StarTech Journal, a technical magazine for the amusement industry, described the system as somewhat revolutionary. It showed that the future did not belong to the XY or vector monitors used in popular games like Tempest and Asteroids. Artist John Hendricks put a tremendous effort into pushing the graphics beyond what had been done before on the same system, developing realistic-looking ostriches and buzzards that would also move. It was all hand pixels, said Newcomer. Very few people could have pulled that off. Distributors and operators gave the game a frosty reception, despite the fact that it had the capability of receiving 2 quarters from 2 players for the same playtime, something that only 2 other video games had done to date, Space War and Wizard of War. The negative buzz didn't bother Newcomer, who likes playing the underdog. He knew success or failure would be decided by a democratic vote of quarters. It came down to whether players were going to accept and learn a new control in the flap button. Today, no one accepts a new control. Again, the 80s were a different time. Accept and learn it, players embrace the flap button. And turn Joust into a breakout, has to be 2 words, breakout hit. In 1982, one that went on to ship more than 26,000 units, the combination of Joust's organic characters, strategic play, and less violent action earned it a broad base of fans that spanned both men and women, young and old. Young guys in lava is less violent. Now, years later, Newcomer is more than happy to talk about the little bugs and imperfections in this classic game. The belly flop bug is a Newcomer's favorite because it's so crucial to playing Cutthroat Joust. Cutthroat is where you ignore racking up points in favor of trying to kill the other player. The savage Joust development crew racked up countless hours testing Joust's Cutthroat capabilities. Newcomer readily admits this is why they never had the time to fix the belly flop bug. The bug, allowing players to repeatedly kill the invincible pterodactyl by remaining stationary on a cloud, was created after last-minute pixel adjustments to the pterodactyl art were not double-checked. The very first Joust machines were shipped with this bug, but Williams sent out replacement ROMs soon after and fixed the bug on all subsequent machines. On the attract mode, the pterodactyl was described as undefeatable? A question mark alluding to the fact that there was actually a tiny 3-pixel space in which the beast could actually be killed. StarTech Journal said of the software glitch which made the 3-pixel Achilles heel, "I'm sure Williams has sternly reprimanded the pterodactyl programmer that in the future, anything that is supposed to be undefeatable will be." Obviously, the pterodactyl glitch was amusing to everybody but arcade operators. Glitches were minor. Williams had succeeded in creating a fun new game with a world all its own. His Majesty King Williams will receive his many subjects at his magnificent Joust tournament in ye land of molten magma and stoned clouds. We joke. Whereat all able and brave knights shall ride their bird and shalt fight with lance ye evil enemies. And I get ye, Flask. Newcomer wanted to make the scenario even more involved. Everybody wanted to do stories and movies, but we just couldn't. I would have loved to have done more characters, but we had to squeeze every last frame just to make room for the ones we had. These days, memory is no longer a problem for video games. Whole digitized mini-movies can be contained in a machine, and some popular games even make the transition to the silver screen, like Mario and Sonic. But the concept of video game-based movies dates back years before Super Mario Bros., Street Fighter, and Mortal Kombat. The possibility of a Robotron movie was once discussed. John has always felt Joust would make a great movie. Joust, like all the other Williams classic games, has become a pop culture phenomenon, which is just a fancy way of saying it's now a collectible. Joust took on several forms, all considerably more rare than the standard upright version of the game. Unlike Defender, Robotron, and Defender 2, no Joust Cabaret models with 13-inch monitors were produced. Cocktail Joust, engineered by Leo Ludzia, was the only cocktail game that 2 players played side by side. Newcomer was recently able to snag a good deal on the Cocktail Joust, of which no more than 500 were made. Joust Pinball, I hadn't heard that one, released in 1983 and was the first 2-player head-to-head pinball game ever made. Players shot for the Egg Bonus Multiplier and the Lava Pit Eject Hole. Dual earnings like never before, screamed the promo brochure. When 2 people play, each mans his flippers for supercharged competition. When 1 person plays, through the excitement alone, he controls both sets of flippers and both play fields. Designed by Barry Orsler and Constantino Mitchell, Joust Pinball still has a cult following. Pinball convention in Phoenix, Arizona hosted a Joust Pinball tournament just last year, whatever year this was written in. They probably need to put a year on this if they're going to write them like that. Like Cocktail Joust, less than 500 pinball machines were produced. Newcomer's advice to Joust players is simple. Stick to the center, don't fly all the way to the top, make them bounce, and let them come to you. I was going to the top. I guess I wasn't doing it right. You'd think that the creators of a video game would be the best at playing it. We thought we were so hot when we were testing it. We knew all the tricks, says John. After a week in the arcade, that all got thrown out the window. By that time, players can smoke you. That's your own fault, John. You hadn't come up with the game so crazy, there wouldn't have been so many people determined to conquer it. Oops, I accidentally went back. Actually, I want to look at sick ass art. Look at this. This helmet shape. Do you think these guys have beaks? That guy doesn't have a beak. Cool ostrich. Hand of the lava troll. A lava troll. Let's see. The cabinet pinball. Actually, I do want to look at that pinball. That's an interesting. It's like you're on either side. That's interesting. Not the only time I've seen something like that, but I'm just thinking about how the physics of it work. Here we go. This is what I wanted to see. A cool demon guy on there. Let's check the clips.
Compared to now, we're working with bubble gum and rubber bands and and hot glue. Essentially, the memory in the game was, I believe, 96K, which is just nothing. Now, I mean, we waste that on title screens nowadays. So the real challenge in designing games back then was, how do you do something interesting with some nice animation, and how do you do it in such a small package? Because that doesn't allow us a lot of variety.
Yeah, I don't know enough about pinball. I mean, I can see the pictures there. I'm curious. I think it seems neat. I think it is a neat thing. I'm sure there weren't as many of them.
There was a bug when we first were working on the flying and the running of the ostrich, and we had neglected to consider is when the ostrich lands on some of the floating cliffs, of how's that handled. When does the animation call the running leg and then the non-leg flap sequence? So there's a lot of situations where the ostrich the cliff is floating and the ostrich will be flying, but he's not high enough to show his legs, so it'll just do a belly flop across the cliff. And on the one side of the screen, we had two cliffs that were staggered, and when it does a belly flop, there's a little hole of a couple of pixels, and it allows the bird to squeeze out between the two cliffs. And we're racking our brains trying to fix it, but we were so embroiled in playing Cutthroat, where we would try to kill each other when we were playing and testing the game, and it became a really fun trick to do, is that someone would be hovering underneath these cliffs, and then you'd deliberately do the belly flop and squirt out and kill the guy underneath. And so we decided to keep that in there and call it a feature.
Hell yeah.
One thing that was a real frustration for me was I like to pride myself in thinking of all the little details. And when Joust originally came out, there was a nasty pterodactyl bug where a player could stand on the middle edge and just hold his position, and the mouth of the pterodactyl would hit right into the lance, and you could play the game almost infinitum. I never could. I'm just too slow, I guess. But a lot of really good players, when we first sent the game out to manufacture, could do that, and that really ticked me off, because I had taken every character. I had a grid paper of how big all the characters were. I mapped out what the intelligence, the flight patterns of all the birds and the pterodactyls were, so that nothing like that would happen, where there'd be an infinite bug like that, where you could just keep playing the game forever and ever. Joust the movie is...
Let's Joust the movie.
It's a little hobby I've been working on.
I don't think it's going to happen.
I guess the transition is I started off as a toy designer, then I became a video game designer, and then I would like to become a movie designer. So I had always thought that Joust would make a great movie. The technology was never there for what I had in mind, but now it's more than there. Right now, the old video games are being gobbled up by collectors and in people's basements, but the prices are just starting to rise on some of them. You can still get a lot of old games pretty cheaply.
Not much of a claim.
I've been looking for an original Joust cocktail table, of which there is, even though Joust did really well, we only made about 500 cocktail tables, and it was really too bad because it was one of the originals. It was the only two-player simultaneous side-by-side cocktail game that was made, so it had a unique look, because at the time most all the other cocktail tables like Pac-Man and Ms. Pac-Man, one person sat on one side, the other sat on the other opposite, and then the screen flipped around. Well, this played just like the regular Joust, because you're both sitting next to each other, and the screen didn't flip. So I'd always regretted that I didn't get one for myself, so I finally found one and did some trades here and there, and I paid about $500 for it. But I would say they're probably worth more than that now.
Very scintillating. Joust is cool. Joust. Let's see. What time is it? Yeah, I think I can probably build do one more, depending on how much history is for this one. Let's take a quick little spoiler. Oh, there's still so much. Oh, there isn't that much. All right. Joust is cool. Let's play Joust 2. This is one I didn't have any knowledge of before playing this collection. I think this is a bit of a... Actually, I don't know if this came out. We'll get the story on it later. I'm going to surf. I'm just a surf.
Let the jousting begin.
So the gimmick with this one is like so. You can be a Pegasus or a horsey. I believe it moves better on the ground, but is like less good at flying. Oh yeah, it's really hard to fly good with this guy. Cool. So in other words, I should not be. It's okay because I was trying it, but in terms of efficacy, just feel like you usually don't want to be. And a real joust head might be able to figure out when to properly use that sucker. Now, I do like the different layouts. Yeah. Yeah, like I think if I was running these guys on actually, hold on, let's try it. If I was running into these guys on the ground as the horsey Pegasus, like it would actually work. Like actual jousting at them? Yeah, alright. You can switch very cleanly and quickly. Now, what I like about the way these levels works is it's very Lemmings to me. Switching to these different layouts. When the Urge named... Oh. This is cool. This is a cool... expansion of the concept, at least, but I don't think this thing is that didn't come out, or if it wasn't... Must be on my last life. Ah. I got too fancy. Well, that was a pretty short game. I'll try again. Oh, you can buy back in. All right, that's a big difference. Well, then I'll definitely continue. Interesting. One of those eggs is yellow. Was it like a different guy? What's up? Oh, and it flew into the lava. Did it come back out? There's a lot of little differences in the rules here. Grab that yellow egg. Oh, he got my ass. Okay, I get it. Probably if I'd been horse. If I'd horsed up, I wouldn't have had that problem. They had to add some new elements to make the transformation thing work. The fact that I was able to kill the pterodactyl pretty easily is also obviously its own thing. Crystal bat attack. I don't... Those are crystal bats, obviously. I'm just not sure. I guess it's probably the same as anything else. Just hit them from above. They're just pretty weak. They have to get you really and truly dead to rights for it to kill you. But there's so many of them.
Careful, warrior.
Oh.
Wish to continue?
I'll continue for a little while. I don't know how many maps there are, but... Okay, it's belly flop. The real question is this better than Balloon Fight? I don't know that it is. The egg round is also a little bit tougher because they're not nice to. They don't just all only hatch after a long while. Had to make it tougher. I get it. Oh, see, whenever they write the name out, that's cool. A little crystal up there. It's like in the air, so I could. Oh no, it was just a crystal bat. That was confusing to me. I was like, was that a pickup? I'd seen them in the walls before. Those, the lightning those shoot out, that'll kill you.
Careful, warrior. Wish to continue?
I feel them pretty. I think I get the idea. Alright. The inside story. The Bowser's inside story on Joust 2. The most coveted piece for any Joustmeister would be to have the rare and ill-fated Joust 2. In 1985, Williams decided to do a sequel to Joust. 3 years later, they had better technology and more memory. Newcomer decided to add all sorts of new characters to the game and use a vertical monitor to increase flap space. In the new game, the backgrounds were better, the buzzard eggs mutated, and a transform button gave you the choice of flying on an ostrich or a Pegasus. Subtitled Survival of the Fittest, Joust 2 had 35 screens and complex MC Escher-inspired backgrounds that utilized a more advanced hardware system than the original game. Unfortunately, Joust was already 3 years old in 1985. The video game industry was experiencing its first bad slump. The vertical screen made home conversion impossible, snuffing its second life on consumer systems. The end result was this excellent game shipped less than 1,000 units and became a little-known episode in the Joust saga. The Joust saga. Ghost Saga. How much Clax is there? All right. I'm going to also play some Clax because I don't like Clax very much, so I won't be on it that long. But it's not to say I don't like anything about Clax. For instance, the fact that it says it is the 90s and there is time for Clax, that's perfect. That's flawless. That's gaming. 1989, this is probably as far forward. This might be the, shall we say, newest game in the collection, but I'm not sure. A bit loud. Let me just
Clax Wave.
give myself a little bit more. All right. You must get 3 Claxes. Okay. Beautiful soundscape it's doing here. This is the thing with Clax, is it's very slow and boring. I think that's why I'm just not really a fan. Great tagline, though. One of the all-time best taglines. You do got to give them credit. And I'm sure if you get far enough in, it's going to be faster, or it's going to be all this, but it lacks something to me. Now, it does got like the stack system, right? So I can let that go. And it's got a few things. I forget if you can do diagonals. I think you just can't. Yeah. It is kind of funny. I do have to kind of appreciate the stupid sound effects, but they're not, I don't know. All these games don't really even have music, and I've been in arcades. I feel like that's okay because it's hard to hear in arcades a lot of the time. So I feel like a lot of good music kind of is wasted there, but yeah, it probably does. This is a game that needs some... Okay, you can't do diagonals. Give it a shot, then. This is a game that needs some good music, for sure. Maybe that's it. Maybe that is all it really needs, you know? Come on, give me another yellow. Never mind, I got it. So I would think diagonals are like the ideal scoring mechanism.
Point Wave.
5 in a row Clax. I didn't even consider that. So slow. Okay, I can speed it up. Got that going for it. I've created Italy. Admittedly, the speed up is like, that's good. That makes it more tolerable, for sure. Come on. Give me ding dang green. Oh, I messed up. Well, I guess I am legitimately losing at least. It's got... But that's also kind of the problem is I'm losing, but I'm not really panicking. I'm just bored. I'm just like, God, can this end already? You know? And there's something here. There's lack of juice in Clax. They spent all of their juice on the good tagline, and they did great with that tagline. Don't even get me wrong. Let's watch these interviews and then we'll call it.
Clax was a game which management approached us, I don't know what, in late summer and said we needed a product for the January show in England, and could we do a game in a few months? And so, of course I said yes, and then we had to go figure out what we were going to do in 4 months. And at that time, Tetris had been popular. Ed had done a coin-op version of Tetris, and Tetris had just taken off. So this Clax was basically a following on the footsteps of trying to come up with a concept that played into this whole puzzle game thing that was happening at the time.
Very few people managed to recreate Tetris, even Paganoff himself tried.
I started drawing just on the paint system I had at work. I started drawing just little shapes of abstract pictures that looked like puzzle games, not without any kind of restrictions on what they should do or anything. And after, I don't know what, a week or two of this.
Right, he'd hang the ones that he liked, he'd print out and hang up on his wall. So we had all these things that looked like games, a lot of simple primary shapes and a lot of very colorful things, and that was the inspiration.
And then eventually one day, I don't know why, but I came up with, well, I'm thinking about these shapes coming down, and you have to sort them and put them in piles and match colors, very much like Tetris. And I don't know, it kind of came from an idea too of, remember that Lucy show where she has to make pies and they have to hurry up, and so you had to do these operations to get this thing finished. And so it was kind of like that. And I described it to Dave. I said, I don't know, I think we just picked 5 columns for some reason. I pictured 5 different columns of stuff coming down, and then you have a paddle and you collect it, and then you could move this paddle back and forth and plop it in a pile. And then when you had 3 or more of a kind, it would go away. And you could do verticals and diagonals and horizontal lines. And
that's the game.
That was the game. And Dave went home on the weekend, I think on the Amiga, right?
Right.
And over the weekend he did a real crude looking just blocks and colored things. And I remember went back, there was only one Amiga here at the time, was in the video lab, and he loaded up in the video lab, and
we were able to play it after. I got a prototype going on a weekend in Amiga Basic, and we played it, and we refined it a bit. And then we had some 3D system that Mark used to generate the graphics of the tiles tumbling down, and so he generated a bunch of graphics, and then he went on vacation for about 3 weeks. And when he came back, I had got the game up and running on an escape hardware system, and people were lining up in the lab to play it.
Okay, they're addressing this important question.
We were trying to minimize the hardware and have the least expensive hardware we could have. And the sound system at the time, we had an FM chip that did music, and we had a synthesizer chip that did digitized effects. And so we decided we could have just one of those chips to make an affordable system. So we went with the synthesizer chip. And so we could have all kinds of digital sound effects, but no music.
That's true. There are some other good Tetris games that are good, of course, but a lot of them were just, we made it competitive, and that worked out great. Boy, it was really good. And then we've got your magical drops and the like. This was not. But I mean, they also were like, well, can you make a game in a few months? I guess. What if we made a Tetris? It's like, yeah, sure.
People would work out patterns on paper, elaborate chain reactions and sub-chain reactions, and then they would patiently play the game and arrange all the tiles in that pattern and make it happen.
So it's all like pre-made, so you can, I guess just like memorize these and kind of so I can make a great one.
Mark wanted a golf type sound, like the little like clapping and the sound of a golf crowd in there. So we kind of went around the halls and we got everybody we could and we put them into the sound lab.
Yeah.
And
We had everybody clap like real quietly like golf, and then everybody go, oh. And you can hear, and basically those were the sounds.
That's it.
And then I did the scream, that scream, and then there was, everything was very simple and quick, and there was not really, it was really.
We didn't pay for a lot of expensive voice talent.
Clacks.
Click, clack, click, clack, click, clack.
Clacks.
Was the original
It's a good
idea
name. I will
was the
give them
sound
that,
of
too.
the tiles coming down, so we just shortened it from that. Clacks.
It was funny, when the game went to Japan, they were concerned at the time because the drug thing was just happening and something called crack had just come out. And they were real confused when we sent them this game called Clacks because they were concerned that it was crack that we were saying. So that little interesting anecdote there, marketing problem they had. And so we had to make sure we definitely said, winners don't do drugs or something in there for the Japanese market. It was.
Is this the same people that brought us Pokemon?
Yes, Pokemon. There's cracks.
Fucking insane, fucking maniac things to say in that one. Crack had just come out. Crack had just been released to worldwide acclaim. Some real banana shit. So to preview, Marble Madness. Marble Madness is the next one. I'll hit that. Whichever one of us is up, we'll hit that next week. I think this is pretty good. This is what 1, 2, 3, 6, 9 out of 24. But I think a lot of the future games will definitely. I like to think warrant a bit more time. It depends. There's some real good ass games in here. Sinistar is here. Smash TV is here. We'll see them all. We'll see all of them. But on Tuesday, I'm not switching to ending screen yet because on Tuesday we got the dang wheel. We restocked the Genesis wheel, so it's an even 20 now. 6 different games, so it's a lot of fun to be had there on the wheel. But that'll be on Tuesday. However, it does go. Let me just cut the sound there. Oh, until then, I'm going to rant because usually, since it's Sunday and being the time that it is, let's see what one Lolo de Puzzlo is doing. He had to cut out to stream The Dog Island earlier, and must be towards the end of that game by now. He's been on it for a bit, so we're all gonna head over and see what the dog doing. And until I see you all again, thanks for stopping by. Just kidding.